Honestly, I'm not completely free of my old fearful beliefs. Some must be lurking in the shadows of the mind, waiting for some particular act out there to stir up a memory and recreate some kind of emotional turmoil. But as I describe in the first series, Every Human's Journey, I have discovered that freedom from fearful beliefs is indeed the path to the very heart of love and happiness, or what we call joy. And I'm so confident in that discovery that I am committed to sharing my discovery with all fellow humans wherever I happen to be. So, how am I going to go about this big plan I have? Well, I'm a free being, so I'm going to do it my way, of course. I don't really know of any conventional path that I can take to get this done. And I can tell you, I've certainly tried. This is going to take me years and years, and I'm going to commit a lot of energy and time and whatever degree of talent I can muster to become one of the world's great freedom coaches. So, that being the case, it's got to be fun. I mean, it's got to be fun every single day. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to keep it up. And another aspect about it is it's got to be really, really big. It's got to be a big, big deal. Or I'm not going to be able to inspire other people to join in and participate and support me and invite me to join in what they've got going on. This is going to multiply and multiply and multiply. There's going to be freedom coaches in every town. Lots of freedom coaches. And young people are going to grow up thinking, a lot of young people are going to think, that is a path for me. I want to be a great freedom coach in my town. I'm going to be one of the greatest freedom coaches ever. And probably not tomorrow or next week, and probably not even next year. I'll be working on this, developing the skills and expanding the possibilities of it for many, many years to come. Fortunately, there are freedom coaches in every town who have already mastered the skills. And whether they identify with being a freedom coach or not, I'm going to call them like I see them. Just imagine the possibilities. Let's get started. We are in the North Baja region now of Mexico, and this is Scot Richardson. He's a resident of a small campo neighborhood between Rosarito and Ensenada. He and his wife, Janine, are well known in the area for their tireless work bringing greater joy and overall well-being to the good people in hard times. Their pandemic food drives have brought relief to hundreds of families, and they continue to promote and organize events and support artists and entrepreneurs in the area. They are freedom coaches extraordinaire in my book.
You're gonna make me cry.
Scott, Scott, this may be the first time you've been identified as a freedom coach.
Absolutely.
So I know I'm putting you on the spot with this
That's
question.
all right.
But I'm curious to know what the term freedom coach brings to mind for you.
I think for me, the term of freedom coach would be identified with perhaps somebody who has shed a lot of his weight, not physical weight, but maybe his ties to material items, to things that are not important in life, although a lot of people retain and hold on to things that aren't things that you can take with you later on. Somebody that understands what it's like to be free of ties and binds, whether it be corporate, whether it be government or whatever, and in turn I think be able to live more through his heart and give back to the community and help benefit. Excuse me, I'm going to get a little weepy. Be able to give back to the community, give back to the community with no expectations, with nothing. I don't require anything in return. I think my goal may be to make other people's lives better, whether it be a single person, whether it may be a small community like this, or even a town, a city like Rosarito. No, I appreciate that title. That's awesome. Look, I'm an emotional guy. So
yeah, I've been kicking around titles. This is what I'm aspiring to be. Is my goal is to be the world's greatest freedom coach.
There you go. You gotta have you have to have a goal.
It's taken me a while to figure out the term, and there are others that use that term.
Yeah.
And so part of my effort is to find out what is it to be a freedom coach? And there's already people out there that have been doing it for years.
Right. Well, yeah, you have life coaches.
So
you've got all these different types of coaches.
I've encountered to get a.
And I would maybe to wrap it up in a tighter nutshell is someone who has the ability to show others how to enjoy their life better. And maybe I haven't even lived that yet, but maybe this is my process to getting to that spot for myself internally.
Yeah, we're all learning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So to bring smiles and happiness and joy to other people is, I don't know if you're religious or not, but maybe that's God's plan, or maybe that's his plan for me, is I need you to spread this because not enough people do. I don't know. We made the commitment for 4 weeks. Donations flowed heavily for 8 weeks. And then I want to say the 7th week is where we ended up having to stop because donations were coming in slower. In just 7.5 weeks, we raised over $31,000 for this community. Now, the good thing about that was, because it was the electronic into the markets, is all the money that we raised went directly back into local businesses. So they took it upon themselves to create a list so that they could check people's names, so people could go to the website, they could sign up. When they showed up, the stores would verify their ID that you're on the list, and there were no other family members of yours that were there as well. So it worked really good. And the reason why we ended up stopping was, number one, I could only dip into the well so many times for those heavy volunteers. We have a local person here, Mark Darcy, who donated his entire stimulus check, the first check that he got, which was $1,500. And those are the type of people that we were looking for, that didn't need it, and they were more than happy to give it freely. And of course, we had a lot of stateside donations as well. So at the end, as it started winding down, and we decided, we can't do it anymore, some of the people helping us splintered off and kept it going on their own the best they could. And there's still one group that's still going strong today as well. But the emotional drain that it took on me was it was hard to deal with. Because at the end of the day...
Of your interactions with people?
The interactions were great, but at the end of the day, when I came home, it still wasn't enough in my heart. There were still people in line, and you didn't get a chance to witness it, but the market up here, it would have a line of 150, 200 people wrapped around the building. And we only had maybe that day, maybe only 80 vouchers. So that meant over 100 people were still needing food. And it was just an emotional thing. So there were many times where I stood and watched, and I would just walk up and I would just hand people money. I go, here's 500 pesos, but I need you to spend it in this store.
Well, knowing people in this area, as I've come to understand so far, these are hardworking people. These are not.
Correct. It's such a bad stigma that people have towards the Mexican people or Mexican culture, because there really is not a hardworking person, or there isn't a more hardworking person than the local nationals.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're go-getters.
They're go-getters.
They
They're
look for
very
work.
they're ingenious. If they can't make it work, they're going to find a way to make it work. It's very humbling. It really is humbling, because I learn a lot from them, and it's just it really makes your heart thrush with blood. It's incredible.
Yeah, I like being around people
Yeah.
that are go-getters.
And in return, which I never expect anything in return, these people will reach out to me occasionally through Messenger, and they're all like, "Hey, I just want you to know I received one of your vouchers, and I want to thank you. And how's your family doing?" And so they're very concerned about other people that help each other. They're concerned about people that help them, and they want to make sure that everything's good there as well. So yeah, the Mexican culture down here, it's I don't want to say bar none, because I haven't been in many other countries. I did a year in Afghanistan, contracted to the Department of Defense, and that was a different culture. And just the year that I was there completely turned me around on how I felt about that region.
Yeah.
I'm still in close contact with many of those people that I worked with over there, and we all bleed red. It was that simple. We all bleed red. You can believe what you want. I can believe this, and that's fine. That's fine, but we don't need to cut each other's throat over it. We can still, let me give you a hug. I can see you're hurting. I wanted to give back, and so I started out with local businesses. And like you, in your entrepreneurial mind, it's like, how can I give back? I'm not a rich man, but I have talents. I have talents that can be utilized and used to help better other people's lives. So I would approach local small businesses and say, hey, let me create an advertisement for you that you use as much as you want. I've got great skills at what I do, and we'll start from there. So again, it started slow, and it takes time. The hardest part was the American-Mexican trust. Okay, so there's this non-trust of Americans towards Mexicans because the stigma of that they're bad people and they're out to rob you and stuff like that. And then you have the Mexicans who are untrustful of the Americans because they think they want to come down here and take over their business and tell them how to do everything. And that's not really the case. The case is, look, I want to be on an even field with you, and this is what I'm offering you, and I don't want anything in return. So for years, for the first several years, everything I did was pro bono. I just wanted to be integrated into the community, and in return, they would end up saying, well, at least let me buy you and your wife dinner for the restaurant. I'm like, that's not necessary. I appreciate that, and if you want to honor that, we'll be here at 6 o'clock.
Sounds like a blast.
So I want to say for the first couple of years, I don't think we really had to financially out of our pocket pay for a meal when we went out to dinner, because people were like, hey, this is the guy that does the videos. And then it grew. So then it grew into the tourism board. So the tourism board started soliciting me like, hey, can you help us with your aerial imagery, drone videos, and to reconnect with the Americans that we want to have come back down here like it used to be, and it was everybody had a good time. And then the city of Rosarito gave me an award and appreciation for basically not playing or living by the stigma that everybody has, and just, you're my brother, let's do something together that makes everything else better. So that's where I'm at right now. And I still, of course, with the pandemic, it just hasn't been available as much. but now I'm starting to get back out. So as you got to see, because you were at the restaurant,
That's right.
you've been there twice now. So 2 weeks ago, we had a good crowd, and that restaurant hasn't had a crowd like that in over a year. So yeah, a week ago, we went as everybody else. I knew the band was playing. I was looking forward to seeing people I hadn't seen in a long time. And I spoke to Francisco after that evening, and he knows what I do on the side to help with promotions, marketing, and advertising and stuff. And I said, I go, so you got to really be enjoying this crowd you have tonight. He's all like, I haven't had this in so long. I've forgotten what it's like. I go, tell you what. I go, I'm going to create an event, and I'm going to post out to all the different contact pages that I have to see if we can bring more people in on this next time. But in order that to happen, you need to have this band here. So the next day he messaged me. He says, like, okay, I have the band Saturday, and I booked him for the following Saturday as well. I said, okay, you have my commitment. I will do everything I can to bring crowds in here.
Yep, and boy, did we all come out.
Oh, it was incredible. Yeah, it was just incredible.
Yeah, everyone we talked to in the neighborhood already knew about it.
Yeah, so there's a Facebook group for this campo, and of course I post stuff there as well.
Oh, okay.
So, but it's all word of mouth, and of course it's reputation, it's trustability, it's being a loyal human, and it's being a kind-hearted person. And I think, in all honesty, and I hate to say this, but it just seems like too many people have lost that, and they have it inside them. They've just buried it. They've become so quick to be defensive with everything that's going on, whether it's politics or whether it's this or that. They're so quick to be defensive that they kind of maybe forget what it's like to be a kid again, to be excited, to be a giver, to enjoy giving. But again, a lot of it also had to do with how my dad was in this community. Like I said, he spent his best 25 years here. He was very well known. He was very interactive in a lot of nonprofits. So I had that weight on my shoulder that I decided, no one else, but I decided to carry that weight because I wanted it to continue. And it's worked. So, I mean, there's almost nowhere that I can go down here where someone doesn't know my dad or didn't know him. So, and of course, that was a very big ego stroke for me. Real quick, I was in a bar wearing a hat that I bought for my dad. I still kept the hat after he passed away. So I'm in a local bar restaurant, and this lady says, I know a man that used to have a hat like that. I'm all like, oh, really? She's all, yeah, he used to live down here. His name was, or he went by Coach. I'm all like, that's my dad. And she's looking at me. She's all like, I can see it now. You've got the same eyes as him. So it's the drive is my father. It's me. Do I want to take the next step? Do I want to keep walking with it? Well, like I said, I'm headstrong and I'm not a quitter. So it will be my passion until I can't do it anymore physically. And then hopefully maybe one of my kids will continue it. I don't know.
What a fantastic first lesson in freedom coaching. Thank you to Scott for showing how it's done. Join us in 2 weeks to experience how we all can share the freedom in our towns, right here on the Fellow Humans Club.